We borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is not a recipe for economic prosperity. It's not a recipe for low prices, and it's not a recipe for good jobs in the United States of America.
中方对中美经贸关系的立场已经讲得很清楚了。听到这位副总统说出这样无知又缺乏礼貌的话，令人诧异，也感到悲哀。
China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the US market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. Right. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
When you hear Donald Trump say China wants a deal, it just doesn't know how to go about it. They're proud people. J.D. Vance talks about Chinese peasants. What do you make of their conduct in this respect?
If J.D. Vance thinks that he's dealing with the peasants in China, and I'm proud to be a descendant of the peasants, most of us are descendants of the peasants anyway, that's our tradition. We are farmers before. But now we are one of the leading industrialized economies in the world. So I'm sorry, J.D. Vance doesn't know what he's talking about. And therefore, I don't think there will be China-US dialogue unless the United States changes its attitude towards China. Deal with China as it is, show respect to China, show respect to the Chinese people, and don't try to impose your prejudice and biased view about China or about the rest of the world.
J.D. Vance just called China peasants, and this is massive news around the world. Let me explain why. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. I'm David. I used to live in China. I lived there for about 12 years. I'm an influencer in China. I have over 8 million followers in China. So, you know, I have my family connected to China. My kids were born there. I'm very well established there, meaning I know a lot about that country. So let's talk about this whole thing with J.D. Vance. Now, if you guys have never been to China, I need to explain something. Do not trust Western media's opinion about China. Don't trust it. It's a lie. It is the biggest bullshit you'll ever hear. Let me explain. Number one, they never show you the positives of China. They always show you, oh, China's a communist country. They're shit. Oh, China. People are dying. No. It's not like that. Oh my God. It's not like that. China is a country that within the last 30 years went from a fishing village to Shenzhen. Do you guys know Shenzhen, China? There are more than 17 million people that reside there. And it's not like a shithole with 17 million people. It is a cosmopolitan paradise. It is a very urbanized city, only third after Beijing and Shanghai. It is one of the most developed places on the planet where you could literally walk around and pay with your face. Now, I used to live in North China and then I lived in South China. Let me tell you, Chinese people are some of the most educated, amazing, fantastic people I have ever met in my entire life. And I don't know, once I left China and came back to Australia, I realized everyone's doing the hating on China, the shitting on China, the hate, you know, I got sick of it. So I started saying stuff and then I was in the newspaper saying, David is getting paid by the Chinese government. For fuck's sake, I was never paid by the Chinese government. This video is really me just telling you the truth. Now, let's talk about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance now talks about how they give money to peasants and this and that. How could you, I'm not even bloody American, how could you call a race of people that went from farming villages to one of the most developed countries on the planet, if not behind the US, competing with the US within a period of 20 to 30 years? How could you be so ignorant? I feel like he's such a racist bastard. Do you know what I mean? He's just, I'm lost. I'm lost. I don't know what to say. Thank God I'm not an American. Because if I was, holy shit, I'd be arrested. All I'm saying is, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Anyway, talk to you guys soon.
He never talks, looks like a man who is afraid of Trump. He only sends those little minions to talk tough.
Let me explain something to you. You used to president holding press conferences, answering random ass questions, and having to explain themselves publicly. That's not how it works in China. In Chinese politics, the guy at the top, President Xi, says something once and everybody underneath falls in line. You don't get to hear from him every week. You don't have the status to talk to him directly. You talk to his messages. You read between the lines. That's the system. When people like you say he looks scared of Trump or he never talked, you're just showing how little you understand about how power works over there. He doesn't need to look tough. His minions talk because that's how structure works. They're not going rogue. They're saying exactly what he once said. Don't get it twisted. Chinese politics is not about access or appearances. It's about control. And trust me, every word that gets said publicly, it's the exact word he meant to be said.
If you want to know more about Chinese politics, leave your question in the comments. I will do my best to answer every one of them.